I'm Chris Hartshorn, the Chief Research Officer at Lux Research, and I'm with Peter Nagler today, the Chief Innovation Officer at Evonik Industries, who gave a very interesting presentation yesterday. It's on the first day of the summit. I'm curious, Peter, this idea of innovation, since it's in your title, what does innovation mean to you specifically when you think of that word?
Well, basically it's easy. Innovation is about value creation. And Evonik has quite some ambitious growth goals. And there are a lot, of course, many activities you can do to reach your growth goals, but we've said one strong pillar will be innovation. So it has to contribute to our goals to create value. And as such, and that is what a bit my role is, we have to be excellent in innovation. And that means, of course, sure, right topics, but also right processes, right culture. And so it means a lot, actually. It's a holistic approach. There's not one thing you have to do. It's really caring about, I don't want to say everything, but a lot in the company.
Right, okay. So I guess that because you've got goals, because there are financial goals in there, that means there are short-term goals, and no doubt there are long-term goals. And you have a responsibility to balance the short and the long-term.
True.
How do you sell and defend the long-term in the organization?
Well, sure, you have to discuss that. But as a company, we have taken a deliberate decision already. Call it, in innovation terms, strategic bucketing. We've said we want to have a unit, which we call Creavis, which is dedicated to the long-term innovation. So typically these guys think about 5-10 years ahead. And so that is a decision already, as in a way you don't need to discuss the principle anymore. But nevertheless, also for the longer term innovation, and we have been doing that for quite some time, you have to show success. Otherwise, well, it's more difficult to defend that. But I think we can show success. So in that way, I think we have a balanced portfolio on that, and yeah, it's working.
So what's the best revenue generating result that's come out of the innovation efforts to this point?
Creavis?
Yeah.
The best revenue generating actually is a new process we have developed together with, when I say Creavis, it's never alone. I mean, Creavis is not an ivory tower. You typically need the business unit because they ultimately have to implement the things. So the best revenue stream is a catalytic process for a new product we actually have developed.
Interesting. So it was more for an internal process?
It was for an internal process. Yeah.
So what are you most excited about now in terms of existing programs that have fantastic potential for the future?
What I think we will see a lot of change is in, come back to the example of biotechnology or bioeconomy, if you want to put it in a larger context. Technologies have developed tremendously. I mean, we all know the predictions 15 years ago that 25% or even more the chemical industry will be based on biotechnology or biorenewables. It hasn't happened. Yeah? Right. For many reasons. First of all, it always has to be very competitive. Yeah? And second is that maybe we needed that time for technology development. Today we are much faster, much more efficient, and that is really exciting. And if you see what's going on in the world with biomass, what kind of biomass you have, if you go to the regions like Brazil or Southeast Asia, it's enormous. There's enormous potential. That's really exciting, I would say, yeah.
And how much of that capability has come from external relationships and open innovation, to put a terribly overused title on it, versus developing, taking time to develop internal capability? What's that balance been like in terms of biotech? Because it's a challenge that a lot of chemical companies have faced, internal, build versus buy in terms of the capability. How's that been for you?
I mean, we are actively pursuing what they refer to as open innovation processes. Especially in biotechnology, we actively use external partners because a bug is pretty complicated, and we have certain competence, and we try to use other techniques to make a bug do what we want it to do. Typically, it doesn't want to do what you want it to do. Right. So, and so we're actively pursuing with many companies outside to design specific genes or what using their technology, or doing parallel is this way A better than B. So we are actively, not only in the biotechnology, by the way,
right.
pursuing active collaboration with outside partners, along the value chain.
Okay.
If I extend that a bit more, and to find out where an Evonik solution can add the best value for us and for our customers.
Right. Okay. Now, last year I had the opportunity to sit down with Bernard Moore.
Yep.
From your corporate venture capital group, and that was an effort that was set up, I think, maybe 2 years ago was when the effort started. From an innovation perspective, corporate venture capital, how's that adding or paying off in terms of the way you view innovation? What's the bonus on that?
I think I have to say that maybe it was one of the best decisions we have been taking in innovation in the past years. It opens, I think, a totally new perspective. You get in touch with a lot, I apologize, crazy people in the positive sense of the word, very passionate people again who believe in their idea, and simply talking to these people and getting in this environment of creators, of entrepreneurs is eye-opening. And a simple fact, in your deal flow and venture, we see a couple of hundred brilliant ideas every year. We can judge on them and we see what is happening, and we can try to work with these people. And that is simply fascinating.
And has that driven additional interaction between business units or the traditional parts of Evonik? Has there been more interaction between those units and startup companies? Has that process of working with organizations outside the company, has that been driven and enhanced by corporate venture capital?
Yeah, definitely.
Specific examples?
Definitely. I mean, we just, as we are only 2 years old in venturing, and in the past years, what we have done, we've invested in 3 funds. But we invest in funds also to interact with these funds. And with the people in these funds, to understand how they work or what's going on. And we try to incorporate our business units in that. And end of last year, we have done our first direct investment, small startup company in the US. And whenever we do that, our business units are involved and take part of the decision. So to see whether that is there a fit, can we bring in more from Evonik than just capital? Capital is our side. We want to bring in more. We want to work with this company if they want, add maybe so that jointly we can make this thing happen. And so the business unit have to be involved, and they are very happy and ready to do that and see how this works, and if they can take the principles of running such a company also for us. Intrapreneurship is something we would like to promote. And the example I told about the Ideation Jam, it's about entrepreneurship. We created young entrepreneurs. Fight for your idea. Tell us why it's good. Why do you want to have it? Why do you want to? Why should you want to do that? Tell us. It's exactly the same thing.
Interesting. Okay. Last question. So 10 years from now, and you'll look back, what will be the biggest impact that the Chief Innovation Officer would have had on the company 10 years from now?
Wow, that's a big question. I hope, let me say, 2 things I believe we have started newly, which are very good. One, I mentioned venturing. And as venturing takes some time, startup companies, I hope that in something like 8 to 10 years we'll see fruition of that. And the second thing, which I hope will also make an impact, we've started, I briefly mentioned yesterday, our corporate foresight group, which also goes in understanding how the future could look like. We cannot predict the future, but how the future could look like, and what could that mean for Evonik? Would that understand new needs and derive new solutions? If that happened, I think that would have been a good decision to do.
You would declare victory at that point?
I think so. That would be happy to see that.
Nice.
But it's never me alone, so a whole bunch of people working on that as well. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Peter, thanks for your time. Always a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.